Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. Today I have a very special guest, Izabella Levey, also known as the Money Mentor. Izabella supports service-based entrepreneurs scaling their income, and in the last 3.5 years, she has helped her clients generate over 3.5 million in new revenue. That's incredible. She knows her stuff for sure. So let's dig right in, find out more about Izabella and let her share her tips with us. So without further ado, here she is. Tiger Training Academy is a proud Irish brand and award-winning academy. With over 200 students a year, their passion is helping students grow and succeed. The professional brow brand, Tiger Beauty, was developed by industry professionals with over 20 years' experience. Developed during a pandemic, it has taken Ireland by storm. They offer a wide range of brow products and training, and their motto is, "Reputation is what people will remember." Courses are nationwide with their Academy affiliate program. Discount code for products or online training is KG20, offering 20% off. Izabella, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Hello everyone. Super excited to be here.
I'm very excited for you to be here. So let's start with our first quick fire questions. So, wine or Prosecco?
Oh, wine. Can I go with sangria? It's sangria.
Sangria is the go-to, is it?
Yeah.
Money or freedom?
Freedom.
A book or a podcast?
Book.
And what is your favourite day of the week?
Ooh, I think a Friday.
Really? Why is that?
Because on a Friday, I've wrapped up everything. Goals are here. I feel complete and then I'm ready to pour into myself. So I like a Friday. It's chilled.
And do you have the whole weekend then just to chill, zero work, or do you still do bits on the weekend?
Oh my days, it really does depend what season I'm in. But weirdly enough, I dislike writing copy in the week, but I love writing it on weekends. So once a month, I sit down on a Saturday morning or a Sunday, and I actually write my copy. And it's it gives me a whole of the day off in the week, and it just feels flowy that way.
I love that. I love that. So let's introduce yourself. Tell everyone what you do.
Yeah, so hello everyone, I am Izabella Levey, and quite honestly, I am a server, I am a wife, I am an auntie, I am a friend, and what I moved through in my business is supporting six-figure entrepreneurs to make, manage, and multiply their money in a monumental way. And I do that because my mission is really to elevate the wealth of women worldwide. And yes, I work with entrepreneurs to make more money, but then it's about what are we actually doing with that money in order for us to get to that place of freedom, which is what you just asked me, Katie, in terms of, is it money or freedom? The money is just the hybrid to really get us to the freedom, right? So that's what I really work on with my clients.
I love that. So obviously, if you used to look at your Instagram or anything online, it's wow, Isabella's life. Where are you living right now, actually?
So I'm living in Porto, Portugal. It's beautiful. It is sunny outside. I'm so blessed. And who knows where the next adventure is going to take us?
Yeah, your life just looks incredible. It just looks amazing. And I imagine lots of people that are watching you are so inspired and want to be oh, I want to be more like Izabella. She's traveling here, there and everywhere. But we all have that backstory and a place where it's taken a journey to get to there. What is your backstory? What was childhood like and growing up?
Yeah, I really love that question. I think it gives also the audience an insight into who I really am. Because like you said, social media is created content, right? It's created in order to inspire, it's created to educate, it's created to motivate. But unless someone knows my story, they don't know the real me. They don't know where I came from, where I've been, and what really got me to this place. So I grew up in a quote unquote rich family. So we were in like this big, 5 bedroom and 5 bed house. I would go on like 3-month holidays. I went to private school. I literally like lived out this little girl's fairy tale. And it was the age of 12 that all completely changed. I went from having like everything to having literally nothing when my dad was sentenced to 10 years in prison. So that transition for me was, yes, difficult, but also built up a resilience inside of me and a commitment to make sure that was never going to be me, because I was so confused how just because there now wasn't a man in the house, neither was money. And just because he wasn't there, it now seemed that everything fell apart. And I remember looking around and I was looking at, my grandmother and then my mother, thinking, I really appreciate and I honor who you guys are. And I love you guys. I just never, ever, ever want to be you guys. And I knew that generation and history repeats itself. So I really stood out to break that and really create this new life, not just for myself, but also for generations to come too. So they can see that you don't need to rely on a man, or they can see that you can create your own wealth as a woman. And also we can get into this too, the difference between having money and being quote unquote rich and actually being wealthy. And that's really taken me into what I do today.
Interesting. So when your father went to prison, did everyone's worlds fall apart? Was the money still there? Like, did you start living a certain way?
Well, the main distinction factor that I want everyone to get is being rich is having money and having to continue to work for it. Whereas being wealthy is money invested where you don't actually have to work and you're still receiving money. Well, we didn't have any of the wealth. We just had the money. So without my dad working for it, there was no money. And also with the bills, etc., that we had to pay in order for him to, get a solicitor and lawyer and all of these things, we were literally left with nothing. Me and my mum had to move out of the apartment that we were living in, and we just literally went from the houses, the cars, the designer stuff, the family, the friends, to none of that, because no one then had our back. And at the time, I was going to a private school and I realized, like, I really need that. I really need that education. So I went into the headmaster's office, and here's me now, super young. And I negotiated 2-3 years in that school. And I walked around to different classes and I asked, whose family have somewhere for us to live in? So I actually negotiated 2 years of private school for my own education, because I knew at that point that environment was really everything. Because I also knew by taking me out and maybe having to live in, a government funded housing, that was also going to put me in a different environment that I wasn't used to. I'd never been exposed to that life. That life had been exposed to me through, TV programs. And I just knew that I wasn't going to be there. So once I negotiated my 2 years free private tuition, I then met someone who actually had an uncle that allowed us to live in an apartment in Warrington, and we were able to be subsidized. And then I started to work, so it all worked out. But it was tough, especially seeing my mum going from this well-respected woman in a circle to just no one respecting her. That really made me want to change that for all of us.
I would say it's safe to say that you're wired differently to maybe the other family members as well, and that your entrepreneurial brain was there from so young.
Yeah, it really wasn't. It wasn't until the other month that I got asked the question of, how did I stay in my private school, or how was my private school? I was like, oh, I forgot. I negotiated my way in there. And I look back and I think like, wow, I am so proud of that little girl that did that. Like, I am so proud of her. The fact that she had the courage to knock on the headmaster's door and ask for 9K a year to be able to stay in this school was amazing. But the thing is, I really did hold my commitment. And I said, I promise you that I will be your best student. I promise you that I will help everyone else. I promise you, if you need anything extra from me, you can ask me. So that coming from a young girl at this point, I also understood that I was getting an exchange. And I knew that schools want people that, you know, do well in class, that have got good reputation. So I was like, I'll meet that for you. I'll do whatever it takes. So yeah, they held their commitment, but I also held my commitment too. It was just a different type of energy exchange. And they were super grateful for me as well.
I love that. So do you think an entrepreneur is born, or do you think they're taught?
Oh. Well, I think that we all have different types of human designs. And I think that there's certain human designs that work better in leadership. And of course, the majority of entrepreneurs are leaders. So I do think leadership is innate within us, but I do think the environment then has to pull it out of us, because there's some people that don't start entrepreneurship until they're 40, until they're 50, and you think like, wow, what have you been doing your whole life? But it's because they weren't in the environment that it brought them out of that. But when you're in a manager role, or when you're in a director role, you start to say, hey, I've got the skills to take this on and do this on my own too. So I think it's innate within us, and then your experience in your environment then brings it out of us.
I love that. A very clever way of looking at it also. So obviously, moving forward, you're now a coach and support 7-figure entrepreneurs scale and make money. But from leaving school and all of that jazz, how did your journey take you there?
Yeah. So when I was super confused that we literally went from having everything to having nothing, I also was really curious. And I knew that I wanted to serve people. So I went to psychology. I went to university to study psychology. And whilst I was there, I thought that I was going to like have my own practice, like I was going to go into counseling, I was going to do something, but I couldn't get out the back of my mind, like, how does this money thing work, right? Like, how does that all actually work? So when I had finished uni, there was a lot of people not knowing what they wanted to do or going into like graduate jobs. And I was like, that is just not for me. And also wasn't going to work with the lifestyle that I had as well, because at this time, my now husband, he plays professional football. So if I was going to move in the different destinations, directions that he would move into, then that type of like job lifestyle wasn't for me. And I knew that, you know, at 21 graduating. So I remember packing up my apartment in Liverpool at the time that I was living in with my mum. And I was in my white and red Fiat that my, my boyfriend at the time had gifted me for my 18th birthday. And I packed this whole car up and I was driving from Liverpool to Swansea, which is a 4-hour drive. And about halfway through, I thought, what am I doing? I'm now moving in with this man. And now I'm going to repeat the cycle of, I'm going to be financially dependent on him. I was in the car that he bought me. Everything in the back was probably from him as well. And even though I loved him, I also understood that I did a lot of work on myself to love me first and to love me more. So whilst I was in the car, I remember making that commitment to myself again. And I said, I'm going to be financially independent. I'm going to be emotionally independent. And once I figure that out, I'm then going to support other women in doing that too. So in the first month of graduating, I set up my business. I gained 17 clients with no list, no ads, no paid marketing, literally just through referrals and recommendations. And at this point of time, I was literally doing what I thought was life coaching. And about 3 months later, I realized that everyone that I was working with were entrepreneurs. And I realized that everything that we'd spoken about was business. And I saw that that was really a natural gift that I had inside of me to be able to support others in their business. So I was like, I need to do this for myself as well. So I started to put the, the strategy, etc., in place as well, and started to really heal myself and work on myself more. And within that same year, I scaled to $250,000, still with no ads, no lists, no paid marketing at all. And I was like, you know what? I think this is for me. This is the place where I'm supposed to be.
Wow. I think most people listening to that would be like, oh my God, how does she have that brain to do that? But like you said, it's just a gift, isn't it? You just know, and there's some things on earth you put on to do, and it's like, I just know how to do this, like, and you have so much passion for it.
And I think that there's also a skill that can be learned. But what I really see my zone of genius is working with women who have got like these huge, big visions, and they've got the capability of it as well. Like, you can see that in someone, like they've got it going on, like they've got that and they can do that. But then they are missing like the steps to actually put that in place, and they're missing the systems and the strategy and the structure. So where I come in is kind of like a secret silent partner, which is what my clients call me. And I merge them into making sure that they've got the vision, but then they've also got the structure in place and the implementation in place to actually make it happen as well. So that's where I really see my gift, but then they're learning the skills at the same time too, right?
Mm-hmm. And I bet lots of people listening to this or watching this are going to be like, right, you've got Izabella on the show. Tell her how to tell me how to make more money, how to grow my business. Come on, Kate, ask the question.
Of course, I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it. I love it. It's a reason why I love podcast interviews as well, because there's so much that you can actually discuss on it that so many people can really take away, and it can be super helpful as well. So yeah, ask away, share the good questions.
So then that takes me, someone's taken 6 figures already, or they might be taking 5. The podcast listeners are very varied here.
Yeah.
What are your 3 tips for them to grow and scale next?
Well, let's first start off with where I see their problems maybe lie in moving past that 6-figure mark. So what I see is 6-figure entrepreneurs, they've created a certain income level, and they think, well, in order for me to move past this, I need to create a different offer. Then they create this different offer, they put a launch or some type of funnel behind it, then they burn out doing it, they've reached another income level, they create a different offer, they launch it and put a funnel behind it, they get burnt out, overwhelmed, don't want to do it anymore, but they've reached a different income level. And they go round in this repetitive cycle that even though they're earning more money, they're not getting to their more freedom. And then they start to question, is entrepreneurship for me? I've now literally put myself in a quadruple full-time job in my own business. So how do I move out of that, right? So I say that there's 3 things in order to scale your business. So the first one is you've got to have a solid business structure in place. So what I mean by that is, instead of coming out with loads of different services or loads of different offers, you want to make sure that you're positioned as an expert in your own expertise, creating stackable services for your clients to then come through a journey with you. That then means that you're not always having to move through these lead generations of getting new clients for every single one of your offers. You actually sell it to one, and then you upsell or you downsell into the different offers. So you can see that that is a lot more streamlined, and it is a lot more working from a place of overflow rather than overwhelm. Then the second thing is to make sure that you have a scalable strategy in place. So what I see is, you may scroll through Instagram, you may have just done a successful launch, but now you saw someone else do a quote unquote better launch than you. You've now looked at the strategy, and now you're attempting to do their strategy when that strategy isn't for you. So make sure that you're learning a strategy of what you're actually good at, and then fine tune that as well, rather than just like creating loads of different, things that you then got to manage and you've got to maintain. Then the third thing is to make sure that you've got like sustainable systems in place. And what sustainable systems will do is they will allow you to have a rinse and repeat system in place. So every time you bring something out, or every time you are going back into a launch, or you're bringing on new clients, you will already have a lot of things in place for you to then leverage your time, rather than you continuing to basically work for every single little bit of dollar that you bring in. So these three things are essential. And in fact, on the 2nd of March, I'm going to be hosting a free online workshop. It's called Sophisticated Scaler. You heard it here first because I've not spoke about it anywhere else. And I'm going to be diving deeper into those three things and what the integration of all of that looks like. So if your listeners want to come to that, that's just isabellalevey.com/workshop, completely free. It's one day together. People think, whoa, like, why are you doing that? It's simple. It's a strategy, right? Some people are going to come. Some people are going to take the information and go and execute it on their self. Amazing. You do you. And other people are going to say, you know what? I kind of like that chick. I want to start working with her. I want to integrate with her. And then they'll continue to work on with me. So that's a strategy that we put in place. But either way, you can take or leave the programs that I share with you, and you can gain all of the delicious details that are going to be getting dropped inside of that one day with me.
I love that. So everyone go and check out the show notes, because I'll add that to there so you can check out that free day, and then obviously go on to work on with Izabella if that's something that you wanted to do. So you're always so focused, driven, the passion just shines right through you. What are your tips to stay focused and in your lane all the time?
The first one is that I understand that everyone's got a unique assignment on their life from God. So as an entrepreneur, what can happen is, because we admire someone, we start to look at what they're doing, and then we attempt to kind of do what they're doing. We then become them, and then we don't really feel like us, because of course you're attempting to be someone else. And that comes from, you get the inspo from someone, which can quickly turn into copying. You then put offers together, you put promo together, you put launch together, and you get the same result as you've always got, rather than the result that you've seen them get. And then what happens is you basically like start questioning yourself. And the truth is, what I see people doing is they've ended up adopting or adapting to what other people do. And then what happens in turn is they stop being them. And my big reminder to anyone is that their path is not your path. God wants to do an unique work inside of you, and he ain't going to do it like he did with her. So if you know to stop trying to get into someone's lane and stay in your own lane, like, everything will be revealed so much more quicker to you, because God's like, yeah, that's the way to go. That's the way I'm going. So knowing that you've got a unique assignment on your life that no one can fulfill except you, meaning that your money is your money, your clients is your clients, your people is your people. Like, God's already got that all created. It's like a game. It's like if you were literally going to drive down a track, and you know in Mario that you go and pick up those little like coins, that's the thing along the way. Like, God's already prepared it all for you. What happens is you've attempted to go in someone else's lane. So I really like how you phrased that. The second thing is to make sure that you successfully start your day. So Bob Proctor actually speaks about how it is not how you spend your day, it's how you start your day. And I take that into then every task that I do. So I make sure that I start my day strong. I get up, I spend 2 hours on myself, meditating, praying, journaling, reading, working out. And then every time I move into something new that I do, I pretend it will be a start of a new day. So I'll take like 2 minutes to meditate and pray before I move into a task, because that allows me to have this focus as well as faith of, okay, I'm going to be able to move through this task. I'm going to do it in the best possible way. And it's going to be the best that I can possibly do. So setting yourself up for your day, but then like the different tasks that you're doing throughout the day is hugely beneficial. And then my third one, it may sound so annoying, but you got to give yourself space. Like, I used to cram my schedule. And it's impossible to be your most successful self when you're cramming your schedule, because you've got your schedule full of all the things that you've got to do rather than who you got to be. And the real key to success is not what you're achieving along the way. It's who you're actually becoming and being along the way. When you're becoming and being someone that you desire to be, you're also moving into a different frequency. And when you're moving into that different frequency, you are attracting things on that energetic level as well. So we can be in all the do. I can tell you all the strategy, the structure, and the systems, but realistically, like, give yourself space for your soul and ask your soul, like, you know what? I want to be with you today. What do you want from me? How can I best support you today? And in turn, that just allows you to have this, quote unquote, positive outlook on life, because you are filling yourself and you're pouring yourself with what you desire. And there's no resentment of, doing things that you don't want to do, and all this other stuff too. So that would be like my 3 top tips on that.
Yeah, I fully agree with all them 3 top tips, and especially like space. I've definitely tried to work on more personally the last few weeks as well, because you just found that you're busy. You're busy full all of the time, and diary is stacked up trying to fit everything in, and everyone's like from a to-do list. And I thought, there must be an easier way of doing this and living life, and there is. Just making sure everything's really scheduled and you've got a strategy behind everything. And I've really set my days different, and it's made such a difference, because otherwise you cramp everything in and then you just end up procrastinating anyway, because it's too much overwhelm.
Sure. Oh my days, like I schedule in like my self-care time. Like my team do not put anything in on Fridays. Do not put anything else in on a Monday. Don't put anything else in on a Tuesday afternoon. Like, people could say, oh, your schedule looks busy, but realistically, 2/3 of it is just me being with myself. So I don't mind what my schedule looks like, as long as like I'm the priority in my schedule and not everyone else's, because I'm not then able to show up and pour in the way that I would really desire to, and what other people really deserve from me as well.
Yeah, and I really preach morning routines and having like that self-love. Like, I'm huge when it comes to morning and having that workout, having me time before kids get up and life just gets busy. It's so important. But I know there's lots of mums that come on and listen to this show and they think, I haven't got that time. Like, my kids are out of bed really early and stuff like that. What would you say about that? Because I know that's a lot of people's battles. Like, I don't even get 5 minutes in the morning, let alone 2 hours.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, first of all, I'm not a mom. And I believe that if I was in that season, my life could look a little different. Here's what I know, because I've thought about it and I've already planned it, of what I would set up. I know that if I start my day strong, I am going to be my best self. Okay. So there is going to have to be a slight compromise at times, because straight away in the morning, I may want to be with my baby. And there's some moms that just want to be with their baby right in the mornings. Okay. Whatever's going to work for you, you got to make it work for you. Personally, I would have someone come in for those 2 hours in the morning, or I'd make a commitment with my husband that I'm going to get up early before you go to work. So I'd appreciate you getting up early too, in order for me to have these 2 hours. What happens is a lot of women don't give themselves permission in order to actually get support from other people. And instead, they then make themselves feel guilty. And then that is a really low vibration emotion, low vibration frequency. And there's so many different emotions that come with that. So I would personally say that, okay, what support can you get in, depending on, of course, what age your baby is, and then the second thing is give yourself grace. Like, I couldn't imagine it. I know that I'm in a position that I've worked to, that I will be able to get support. I will be able to get a nanny. Like, I'm very privileged in that place, because I've worked myself up to a certain space. If I didn't have that, I'd be giving myself grace, and I would be understanding that success is one thing financially, and you may want to be creating a real successful business, but remember that the real reason behind you creating a successful business was to get the money to then have more time with your baby, right? So if you could skip this bit out anyway, and then just jump straight from where you are to spending time with baby and not feel guilty about being away from work, that's where I say give yourself grace. Because some people could be earning 7 figures, profiting a very small amount and not giving any time to anyone else around them. Whereas someone earning 6 figures or multiple 6 figures, they could be profiting way more and have way more time around what they want, who they want to be around, especially their baby too. So just know like what your success really looks like, and of course you've brought in a beautiful baby to the world, that's gonna be one of the things that you want to spend time with them. So where is the space in your schedule to actually do that, and then make sure that other things are then planned around that. But quite honestly, every single mum listening, I respect you more than you will ever know. I have no idea how you guys do it. I have no idea how I'm going to cope with everything, but all I know is I'm going to move through it, and I'm going to give myself grace and space along the way.
Definitely, I love that. And it is just scheduling it in. Like, I don't have 2 hours, but I have an hour, and I'll make sure I'm up an hour before the babies, like, definitely. And because that's your time. So if your children wake up at 6, I'll wake up at 5, and I'll have my time before that. Or if that doesn't work, obviously all children are different. Some people are like, well, my kid's up since 4 a.m. You're like, well, okay, you're not waking up at 3, are you?
I am sorry for you. I am so sorry. I just don't know what, I don't know how to, or what to say to make things feel better for you, but I just respect you. That's all I can say at this point. Someone that wakes up at 4 a.m. every day from a crying baby.
That is the only answer. There is no magic formula.
Not, and I'm not here to share one.
You literally just have to find somewhere in the schedule of the day where there is a bit of quiet time to have a bit of you, even if it's just journaling, meditating, just having some you time, not necessarily going to the gym or working out if that's, just doesn't work for you, but something to have some you time. You will be able to fit somewhere in your schedule. Like you said, reach out to your partner. Where are they? Where are grandparents or anything like that? Like, just ask for help.
So true. And I personally don't love to speak on or preach about like situations that I've not been through, but what I'll always preach on is having space for yourself no matter what. So whether that is with kids, without kids, like, you've got to find that time to do that. If you can find time to scroll, if you can find time to phone your friends, you can find that time to do the things that you got to do for you as well. And one thing when my niece stays with me is she understands, like, there's a time in the morning where Auntie Belle is meditating, journaling, and reading. And even if I'm around, like, I'm not going to disturb her. That is because I set that up since she was literally a bambino. Like, no matter what, like, she was there when I did my morning rituals from all the different times she stayed with me, or I actually brought her up for the first few weeks of her life as well. But that was always it. And if you ask her, what does Auntie Belle do for a living? She says, meditation, reading, and journaling at this point. So it just shows too that, like, really attempt to do this from the start in order for them to also learn and adapt to you as well.
100%. Like, my little girl Lola Rose, like, that's all she's known. And I remember when she was first born, like, everyone used to go, why do you look so good? How did you do makeup in the morning? Like, how did your hair look like that? And I'm like, I make sure I do that, girl. Like, I ain't going out the house looking any different. Like, and Lola was so used to, from that baby, literally 2 days old, my makeup was back on, my hair was done, like, I was dressed, I'd be going to the salon, like, and she just got used to that whole routine. Whereas now it's just not even, obviously she's 6 now, but she just knows Mummy gets ready in the morning before me, Mummy will work out, Mummy will do this, and she knows that. And when I have another baby, it'll be exactly the same. It's very important. And most people listening to this podcast are business owners, so like you said, business should be running for you, right? It shouldn't be like just running for other people. Like, why did you start a business in the first place? It was to have some type of freedom. It was so you wasn't answering necessarily to someone else constantly all of the time. So create your business so you do have that freedom and some time to be able to clock off and just do you.
Right, for sure, 100%.
Definitely. So we know business isn't easy. You're in business, I'm in business. Lots of people looking at you and me might be like, they must have just had this landed on their lap. But we know that's not the how it works. Like, what has been your biggest struggles and hurdles in business while you've been doing this?
I think the biggest struggle that I had is believing that it had to be hard. Like, believing that it had to require so much of me. the whole of 2021, my whole mantra was let it be easy. So every time I would go into a task, and like when you're supposed to just, go into something and do it, and you can't, like you've got like a block or someone else is on your mind. And I just sit there and I would literally like just say, let it be easy. And I would repeat it and I'd repeat it and repeat it until things started to feel so much easier and breezier. So the first thing that is, I believe, one of the biggest quote unquote challenges was myself, and unlearning what I'd seen my family make money look like, and unlearning some things that I was taught early on in business as well, and realizing that the truth of the matter is, like, you really got to do you, and God sees that, and God sees you, and God wants you to be you. And from that place, it can be so much more easier. So one, the belief about you. Two, what we were speaking about before of staying in your own lane. People call it, imposter syndrome, big shiny object syndrome, like all of these different things. And I think that when you've got a very clear goal with an intention behind it and your desires behind it, and you've planned out what your action steps are going to look like if you just stay on track to that, I promise you're going to get somewhere. But what happens is you take these detours along the way that make things so much longer and challenging for us. And we do it by default because we've looked at what anyone else is doing and we see that being successful. So we attempt to do it too. And then the third thing would be like switching it up and understanding that whenever you are going through a challenge, or whenever you feel like you're going through a little business breakdown, like that is always the stage where you're about to break through as well. Like that is always a stage where you're recouping, you're moving in something that didn't feel in alignment. Now you're moving back into alignment so you can then, power on in and explode into what that next thing is for you to do. So I definitely wouldn't say that, business has been easy breezy. What I will say is that is my new belief from 2021 and now moving into 2022. And you know what? It's worked. Like I'm just so much chiller in everything I do. I've got so much space in everything that I do. And I really believe it was down to me and my mindset and my body moving through that rather than like the tasks or the workload as well. So know that it's not about like hanging on in there and staying on in there. It's more about like, how do you want to do today? How do you want to run your business? What's the goal of this? Is it a vanity thing? Is it that you want to hit the next money? Is it want to hit the next follower? Like, what is the desire behind it? 9 times out of 10, people can already have the desires. They just haven't given themselves permission to do it. They feel like they got to earn it and work for it and all this crazy stuff. And, I've been there. So it's about letting it be easy. Take that away with you. Let everything be easy. Let everything be easy. Be available for the ease.
Definitely. And if business needs to turn direction, let it turn direction rather than keep fighting, because like you said, your path's already made out. So maybe it just needs to take that turn.
Yes, for sure.
What is next for you?
What is next for Izabella HQ? Wow. I keep telling people that like the feeling that I've got right now is because of I can feel everything that's about to happen in 2022. I can't fully see that yet, but I can feel it already taking place. Like I definitely know that this year is going to be like a complete miracle. And to show that, I'm going to be documenting that. Like I'm documenting it. I'm going to be letting you guys into my revenues, my cash flow, my team, everything, because I want to really create this as a testimony as well. So what I can physically see right now is we've got this workshop coming up, and we're going to be opening up the doors to our Women of Wealth Mastermind and Mentorship program, which is an exclusive experience for six-figure entrepreneurs that are looking to make money, manage their money, and then multiply their money through investments to create this wealth, the difference between being rich and wealthy. We have got our summer retreat coming up. So everything is going to be actually getting revealed this week for that as well. So that's going to be taking place at the end of June. We've got a live event coming out in September as well in the UK. So there's so much amazingness coming Izabella HQ's way. But I think a reason why I'm so excited too is because there's a lot of in-person stuff. And I'm cannot wait to get back into that. Like, I just came back from my retreat in Dubai, and just being around people kind of reminded me who I was. I was like, oh my days, I love this, you know? So I'm bringing in more and more of that. And I really feel like in the industry, that's a trend that people are really looking for at the moment as well, you know, that connection piece, that community piece. So for anyone that's listening as well, make sure that you're taking that into account for your offers and your services and everything that's coming out this year too.
Yeah, people have definitely missed people, and having that face-to-face like cuddle and just chat and just normal life. So definitely I will be looking out for the event in September. That'll be really good.
Yes, for sure. I can't wait.
So where can people connect with you?
Come and connect me over Instagram. Like, my Instagram is my absolute Insta fam. So that's just Izabella Levey. If you have come on over to follow me from this interview, message me with your biggest takeaway, message me and Katie with your biggest takeaway, or tag us in something. I like a follow, but quite honestly, like, I like a connection more. So if you can reach out to me and let me know, then I know who you are, what you'd be up to in the world as well. And then we've got a real connection rather than it just being like, you know, an Insta follow for each other.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. I know you're super busy, so I'll let you get on with your day, but I really appreciate you taking the time out. Thanks.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much. I hope that the listeners love this and they got loads of learning from it.
Perfect.
The Pro Gel, classic professional British. The Pro Gel is a proud British brand designed and created for nail professionals by nail professionals. We have a wide range of professionals only product with over 200 highly pigmented gel polish colours that are all vegan and cruelty free, express tips and lots more. Make sure you follow us on socials at the Pro Gel UK and use code KGLife10 to receive 10% off your first order.